I've learned you don't have to have a great gift for God to use you. If you'll be faithful with what God has given you, He'll entrust you with more. Are you using well what you have? Or are you comparing what you have, being discouraged, competing with someone that's not even in your race? Are you hiding your gifts, burying your talents, too busy to invest in what God's given you? Friends, developing your gifts is not an option. If you don't use it, you will lose it. We see this principle in the book of Genesis. Isaac said to his son Esau, "Your brother has carried away your blessing." That doesn't seem fair. Surely God wouldn't let someone take his blessing, but there's a reason. His twin brother Jacob was born right after him. In fact, the scripture says during childbirth, Jacob was grabbing at Esau's heels, trying to get ahead from the very beginning. Jacob made a lot of mistakes. He didn't have integrity. He cheated people. But despite all these weaknesses, he had a boldness to become who he was created to be. One time, he even wrestled with an angel. He told the angel, "I'm not letting you leave until you bless me." The angel blessed him. He went about it the wrong way, especially at first, but he was passionate about fulfilling his destiny. On the other hand, his brother Esau knew he had the blessing that came from being the firstborn son. He knew he would get double the inheritance from their father. Back in those days, that birthright was extremely valuable. But one day, Esau had been out hunting, trying to find something to eat, and he couldn't kill anything. Felt like he was going to starve. He smelled some stew that Jacob had made. He went over and asked his brother if he could have some. Well, Jacob, being the schemer that he was, he said, "Hey Esau, I'll make a deal with you. I'll trade you my pot of stew for your birthright." Now, God could have stopped it. God controls the universe. He didn't have to let his brother carry away his blessing. When God sees someone that has the blessing and doesn't value it, they're not passionate about what God has given them. They take it for granted. This birthright, no big deal. These gifts, these talents, I'll develop them later. If we're nonchalant like Esau, not disciplined, not focused, then someone can carry away our blessing. God is saying, I'd rather have someone like Jacob that has weaknesses, but at least they're passionate about serving me. At least they recognize their gifts. They'll go wrestle with an angel if they have to become who I've created them to be. I'd rather have someone like that than someone like Esau that has the blessing and doesn't value it. The scripture says God hated Esau. I can't find anyone else in the scripture where it says God hated him. What did Esau do that was so bad? Kill someone? Lie, cheat, steal? What made God so displeased was that he had the blessing and he didn't value it. He wasn't focused. He wasn't disciplined. He wasn't passionate. That's why the apostle told Timothy, "Timothy, stir up your gifts, fan your flame." When I look back over my life, God's been too good to me to live indifferent, nonchalant, not passionate. I have too much respect and awe for God to take things for granted. Well, if I have time, I'll develop this gift, God. One day I'll be more focused, more intentional, more discipled. Don't be an Esau. Don't let someone carry away your blessing. If you don't value and use it, it can be taken away. I've missed a lot of opportunities, made a lot of mistakes. I guess it's too late for me. No! Just the fact that you acknowledge it, just the fact that you're listening is a sign you have a heart after God. What's happened in the past is not important. What's important is right now. You can do like Timothy and start stirring up your gifts. Start using well what God has given you. If you do this, you don't have to worry. Nobody can carry away your blessing. God has a hedge around you and your future that cannot be penetrated without God's permission. The only reason Esau lost his blessing is because God pulled back that hedge. He said, "All right, Esau, you're not going to use it, so I'm going to give it to somebody that will use well what I've given them." When the Israelites were in slavery, God said to Moses, "Go tell Pharaoh to let my people go." Moses said, "God, I can't do that. I don't speak. I stutter. He was saying, God, I didn't get a big gift. I just got one talent. He kept making excuse after excuse, so much so the scripture says God became angry with Moses. He wasn't angry because he stuttered. He wasn't angry because he had flaws. He was angry because he didn't see his gift as being enough. He was like the man with the one talent, hiding it, afraid, thinking he didn't have what it takes. God is not displeased with us because we still have weaknesses. We have shortcomings. He's displeased when we're not using what He's given us, when we're making excuses, discounting our gifts. Listen, God wouldn't have asked you to do it if He hadn't already given you exactly what you need. Quit discounting yourself. If I had His talents, if I had her looks, if I had their gifts, then I could do something great. No, take the talent that you have, whether it's 5, 2 or 1, and make the most of that. If you'll use what God's given you, He'll give you more. Moses kept complaining. He kept making excuses. Finally, God said to him, Moses, who made your tongue? Who makes the deaf to hear? Who makes the blind to see? He was saying, Moses, I created the universe. I flung stars into space. I spoke worlds into existence. Moses, I know what I'm doing. You didn't get shortchanged. You're not lacking. I've given you exactly what you need. Moses still didn't believe. He still wouldn't do it. He was holding a staff in his hand, a rod, and God told him to throw it down. When he did, it turned into a snake. Moses, this mighty man of faith, the one who eventually parted the Red Sea and delivered the Israelites from slavery. When he saw that snake, you know what he did? The scripture says he was terrified and turned and ran away. Sometimes we see these heroes of faith in the scripture as being superhuman. It's good to know they were just like us. He was talking with God, saw a snake and took off running. That means there's hope for you and me. Sometimes God will ask us to do things that we're afraid of. But just because you feel fear doesn't mean you're not supposed to do it. If you have all the confidence, courage, strength to do it on your own, it doesn't take any faith. Faith says, God, I'm afraid. I don't know if I can step up and speak in front of these people. God, I don't know if this new business I'm starting is going to make it. But, God, I believe you put it in my heart, so I'm going to take a step of faith, knowing that you're with me each step of the way and that you'll get me to where I'm supposed to be. You have to get out of your comfort zone and do it, afraid. If you play it safe your whole life, you'll never reach your full potential. Here's the key. God is expecting a return on His investment. Do you have gifts that are being underutilized? You're not taking time to develop them. You're too busy to put forth the extra effort to stretch, to learn, to become better. Or perhaps you can feel that stirring on the inside. You can feel that desire in your spirit. You know you should, but you keep talking yourself out of it, letting it intimidate you. Jesus said in Matthew 25, "Those who use well what they've been given, even more will be given to them. But to those who are unfaithful, even what little they have will be taken away." If you don't use well what you've been given, if you're not taking time to develop your talents, to maximize your potential, then it can be taken away. But when you use well, you're responsible, you're focused, you're passionate, you study, you grow, you get better. No, make this you're going to stretch, you're going to grow, you're going to pray bold prayers, you're going to dream big dreams, you're going to live intimidated, letting thoughts of defeat talk you out of it. Well, you can't do it. You don't have what it takes. This is as good as it gets. No, let that go in one ear and out of the other. Keep using what you have and God will give you more. The psalmist said our life is like a mist. We're here one moment and then we're gone. When you're tempted to be indifferent, to not pursue what you know is in you, you have to remind yourself this principle. If I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. If I'm not giving God a return on His investment, if I'm not being a good steward, then He's going to take what should have been mine and give it to someone else. This is not so that you will live pressured, but so that you will live passionate. So you will stir up gifts that are being underutilized. So you will take steps of faith to become all you were created to be. What's the point? Don't compare your talents with somebody else. You may have received 3 and they received 6. That's not up for you to decide. You don't have to keep up with them. Just run your race. Be the best you can be with what God's given you. If you'll be faithful with the 3, God will increase you. But when we compare our talents to somebody else, we'll end up competing with them, trying to outperform them, outdress them, outdrive them, outbuild them, competing in a race we're never designed to be in. When we compare, we end up discouraged because there's always somebody more beautiful, more talented, more successful. Take the talent that you have and hone that skill. Develop it, grow, learn, study, and God will give you more.